Well, welcome back to another belated video from Napoleonic PC Wargamers. I didn't disappear, just real life getting in the way. Real busy, basically working two jobs and what have you. And unfortunately, the other Waterloo campaign that we were doing with me, the Prussians, it died a slow death, and it just filtered out. I think just real life got in the way of everyone, and I haven't really picked up my PC for anything other than work in a long time. However, we've rekindled a passion to get something done, and we're going to do a Waterloo campaign, the 100 Days campaign. We're going to do 3 versus 3. We're going to have me as Napoleon. We're going to have somebody as Ney, somebody as Grouchy. We're going to have somebody as Wellington. We're going to have somebody as Blucher and somebody as... I'm not entirely sure how they've split the other side up in terms of the Prussians, but there's two players playing the Prussians. We're going to use Rich Hamilton's fantastic wildcard scenario. This involves having the Waterloo map, the Belgian map, the big map, same one as last time. We're going to have the extended June 16th order of battle. So expect 7th Corps, expect 5th Corps, expect some Portuguese, expect some Indian troops. And we're going to march to contact. That's as simple as that. We're going to be using our house rules. We're going to be using slightly modified campaign rules that we had last time in terms of the curry system that we use. And just have a look then at what we're doing. We've got a new campaign. Let's just start it as that one. That's no problem. Let's be the French. I'm just showing you. So this campaign gives each player multiple choices to help determine which battle will be played. All decision passed will result in a single large scenario played out on the full Belgian map with all the forces present in the expanded June 16th Waterloo Order of Battle from the expansion package. The variables entail whether each army will arrive and the percentage chance of those arrivals. So whilst we've got an order of battle and we've done the review scenario to have a look at all the troops that might be there, there's no guarantee as, when, where they're going to actually be. The other thing is that just because we had certain troops on the actual campaign under our commands, respective commands, doesn't mean necessarily that they'll be under the same command again. Really looking forward to this one. We have a decision tree that we're going to go through, the decision tree for the allies as well, and depending on what we choose and they choose, there could be any one of 32 different scenarios and combinations actually open up for this campaign. So we're really, really excited with it. Hope you guys will enjoy it as well. I do apologise again for not getting some videos and some content out, but thanks for keeping the page going. And the other thing is, I suppose bigger news than pretty much anything else was the passing of John, which was very unfortunate, very upsetting. I think it's fair to say that he was a legend of wargaming. I think it's fair to say that he left a legacy of fantastic war games that we all love, we all enjoy, we're all here for the same reason. And without him, none of this would have been possible. It's as simple as that. So John, rest in peace, and thank you for everything that you've given us. Well, there's rules we're playing with. Um, Now, some of them you might think, well, why aren't we playing with, say, no detached melee or something like that? Well, we've got house rules to cover things like that. We've had numerous discussions, as I mentioned, with house rules that they've developed into probably third version now, where we've played it enough now and just reading about playing other sort of tabletop games and stuff like that. We've come up with rules to counteract some of the rules that are there, if that makes any sense at all. So obviously we're not playing phase play. 3 versus 3 phase play, 400 turns would take us until some of us might not even be alive anymore. It would just take far too long. Victory points for lead casualties, that goes without saying. Others route limiting and isolation rules. Optional fire and melee results, just because it adds a little bit more variation. I've talked about that before. The dice, it will take the possible extremes, so sometimes you get really big results when you shouldn't have got big results, really, but that's all part and parcel of it. A good leader comes in, saves the day, rallies his men, and they go above and beyond. Other times it can go against you, and it just adds a little bit more variety. Melee terrain modifiers, that's a given, as are the column pass through fire and target density modifiers. No retreat overruns, we're not going with that, and not going with movement threat disorder. It's a little bit too heavy-handed, we thought, in the game, and has, in our experience, detracted from the game a little bit. So we're not going to go with that. Weak zone of control. We'll talk about zones of control when we talk about the house rules. Yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that. Partial retreats. Line movement restriction was one that we discussed, and I personally was for having it on. Just because of the period we'd moved on from sort of the Prussians, early Prussians and things, and 7 Years' War. And I think troops moving in line should be punished, but another guy came up with a very strong argument why they shouldn't, and we decided to take it off. Flank morale modifier, of course. Multiple cavalry melees, yes, that was very much a realistic rule. Multiple infantry melees we took off because they'd be blown after fighting for 15 minutes and then to turn around and go again in the same turn. No, we didn't think that was realistic enough. No opportunity fire against skirmishers. Save a bit of ammo for everybody, to be honest, as skirmishers move around. No melee eliminations and no detached melee. But the no detached melee, it is a realistic rule. It's a good rule. But the way we play with our scouts and stuff like that, it would sort of hinder us in our long-term game plan. So that's the optional rules we're going to be using. So, as I may have mentioned, our forces are going to be mixed. It's a big old extended order of battle. Prussians have got an extra corps. The Anglo Allies have got loads of extra Portuguese and Indian troops and various other troops that we can't complain because we've got at least two extra corps. The 5th and 7th are coming up as well. So don't be surprised if we end up with Grouchy with different forces and they with different forces. That's to be expected. What I'll do is a review of all my forces as and when they arrive. Obviously, I won't do it for the other guys, but just to see who I have. Now, they were as they were on the day in terms of the order of battle, if they were there in terms of numbers and who was in charge, etc. That still stands. It's just a wild card as to where they arrive and who will take command of them. Exelmans is my first on the map. He's crossed the border first. The advance guard Napoleon will arrive in a little while. So 2nd Corps Reserve Cavalry under Exelman with Strolls in charge of the 9th Cavalry Division of the Army of the North. And this comprises of regiments 5th Dragoons, 13th Dragoons, 15th and the 20th and the 4th Company, 1st Horse Artillery. And what I'll do is I'll just build it up into a bigger order of battle, just to give you a bit of an idea. Good quality, all B quality, that's fairly decent. They are heavy, so they will have a decent charge, and we can dismount them as well, so they're fairly useful. I like Dragoons, they're all rounders of the campaigns. In total, 1,650 horse and 6 guns. They're going to be used extensively for scouting. The whole of the 2nd Reserve Cavalry are going to be my vanguard. Going up towards Nivelle, they will see things before and have to report back to Napoleon as they see things. So yeah, I've got Exelman and I have the 2nd Corps Reserve Cavalry, and I think the rest of them will arrive maybe the next turn or the turn after. I can't quite remember. So what's the plan then? Well, there's 6 of us, and we've got a corps, army commander each, stroke corps commander. I'm Napoleon. We've got Ney, and I've got Grouchy on my right this time. And we've got Wellington, he's one person. And then we've got another 2 players as the Prussians. I don't know how they've split them up, as I've said. This is more or less where we're starting. Certainly is the French. We're down here, sort of south-southwest of the map. And as I mentioned, it's all going to go on Nivelle at the moment. That's our original objective, let's say. We're going to draw them down there. It's quite central to the map, maybe slightly more to the north on their sort of side. And what we've said initially then, our initial standing orders, are to march. Grouchy going to go up through Charleroi. I'll make that a little bit bolder. Up through Charleroi, Grossiel, towards Quatre-Bras, and then Genappe. And fall on the east side of Nivelle. Myself, Napoleon, I start sort of at Binche, this sort of area. I'm pretty much going to go towards Senef, up this road, and from the south. What I will say is we're planning Grouchy and myself to potentially sort of encircle that south-southeast corner. Ney on the left, he's going to march up towards Braine-le-Comte through a very wooded area around here, I have to say, and a river, but it's going to be an Ardennes manoeuvre and take Nivelles from the west. That's the plan. This relies on them actually coming down to Nivelles in the first place. We will have to wait and see. So, with all that in mind, my initial standing orders to Ney and Grouchy, I don't want to tie them down too much, is march about halfway and recon in force, because we've got no idea where they're going to start. They could start top left, top right, in the north itself, or they could actually come from the east of the map and fall on our flank. We need mutual support between each other as well. That was something we discussed. So my initial first plan for Napoleon is to go up towards Senef and then build up my army around this area up here, somewhere in some nice woods and forest to the south. Build up my army, try to remain unseen, scout ahead a little bit to sort of south of Nivelles. It's going to take Grouchy a little bit of time to actually get round there to Charleroi and, oh my goodness, to Charleroi and up. So he's going to stop somewhere about here and pretty much do the same. Scout in force again and see where they are, where we can find them. There's going to be an awful lot of scouting and marching in this one. The first few turns, I dare say, will actually be relatively boring for you all. But I don't apologise for that. It will be lots of fun for me. And then we got Ney. Ney starts a little bit more north than the rest of us, but potentially has to go further on. He's going to go up towards Braine-le-Comte again. And he's going to stop his army there, depending on what we see. Now, what am I doing? Depending on what he's going to see. Now, that's where he's going to stop. Hopefully by this time, we're going to send some scouts out, naturally, and then we'll be able to see where they are. Scout out, this is really annoying. Scout out this area up towards Nivelles. Got a feeling that they could come down from this side and fall on Grouchy's flank, or they could even come from the northwest and fall on Ney's flank. But we're not going to be able to do anything or see anything that could come down here as well until we get our scouts out. And we're talking a good 30-40 turns maybe before we even make contact or sight them. It all hinges on Nivelles with this plan, but our plan B, well, I'm not going to tell you our plan B at the moment, but we do have one. We've got to build up concentration in force. I'm going to keep a strong right wing over here. I'm going to have quite a few forces, and Ney is going to protect my left, and then that allows Grouchy to also have a fairly strong left. Now, one big problem with this is that Ney is going to be quite exposed. You can't see it on this map, but I'll show you in game. There's quite a big river that, oh, here we go. This river here. It's a huge obstacle. And if I was to run it down something like that, then you can see Ney could be cut off because of that river. To that end, there are two very important bridges. One about here somewhere, not that far up, somewhere about here, and then at Asquin somewhere maybe here. There's an awful lot of forest around here as well that's masking the approach to Nivelles. And there's sort of a forest here as well. Crikey, it looks like a kid's drawing. But hopefully you see there that Ney's going to have a very hard approach across that river. Could get cut off. There's only two bridges, which are a main priority if we get that far up and see they're sort of there. However, this forest will also mask his approach. Hence the Ardennes manoeuvre. Big forest, big river. If they've gone to Nivelles, or even to Genappe and around this area, they would never expect it. We will see. Plans are there. Plans will be broken, but we need something in the beginning. And that is what we're going for. Up Grouchy towards Charleroi, to Genappe, Cottrebras, and to Nivelles. I'm going straight up the centre. And they is going to Braine-le-Comte and then approach Nivelles from the west. We will see how this pans out. And for the main game itself then. Well, where to start? Well, I'm going to go through the house rules. Do a little separate, probably a little separate video. Maybe put it in this one. We'll see how we go. Rather than explain it all one by one here. There's 3 of us playing. I'm Napoleon. And I've got somebody as Grouchy, and we've got somebody as Ney. Have an allied commander is Wellington, and there is also 2 Prussian commanders, but I don't know how they've split that. Probably 2 corps each. We're using the extended June 16th order of battle, and we did a review of it, and it's going to be a big old battle. On the Allied side, for example, there's Portuguese contingents and Indian contingents. We've got the 5th Corps and we've got 7th Corps coming, as well as other sort of piecemeal divisions coming from Davout's coming up as well. Souchet's coming up. Yeah, so as and when everybody arrives, and if they arrive, don't forget this is a wild card game. If everybody arrives, we could have upwards of 350,000 on the map. The map itself is the large Waterloo map from the, I'm going to say, original vanilla campaign. And we had some choices at the start as to where we do actually start. And again, it's wildcard. I'm in the centre. I can't look at everybody else's troops for obvious reasons. We had the southwest. We could have come into the southeast. We could have come on the west side of the map. And we could have also come in sort of south central, which is more or less what we've done. Now, each of them had its own pros and cons there, and we discussed it all. We thought if we came in from the west of the map and basically something like this, it would have meant whoever's on the left, and it could be Ney or Grouchy. We tried to open it a few times to see what the wild cards were and sometimes Ney was on the left, sometimes Grouchy was on the left. The good thing is Napoleon was always in the centre, so I'm going to be nicely protected. Then they could have marched to contact very quickly early in the game if the British had started in that northeast corner somewhere up here and the Prussians were up there or something like that. It could have led to very early contact before we had a chance to manoeuvre. I mean, we've got 400 turns in this one. We're not going to be short of time by any stretch of the imagination. So we could have come in the southwest. We talked about it, and we had an idea, a general plan. Now, even though Napoleon is in overall command, one of the house rules is to not be too strict with the other 2. Give them sort of goals, but don't micromanage them. So we've come up with a common plan, an agreed plan in the beginning as to what we're going to do. I'll go over it in a bit more detail. But our plan stretches on or relies upon Nivelles in the middle there. That's where we're going to march towards. We've got 3 nice roads that we can all march up. So we've got one commander coming up this side. I'm going to approach Nivelles from the east. Myself, I'm going to go up through the centre. And then, of course, we've got somebody else coming from the west. Now, that will obviously depend on them, or it all hinges on them going to Nivelles. But we've got contingency plans as well. Don't want to give too much away at the moment. What we're going to do is march about halfway and have some strong scouting parties, getting up to about here. I'm going to a place called Menage, and I'm going to marshal my army there, or my corps, and basically get some concentration and force. We're going to push some scouts forwards, somewhere here to the south, and if we do find they're at Nivelles, then we need time to... I can't remember who's on the right now, or on the left. That's really bugging me. I'll find out after the first turn anyway. It will rely on us sort of holding them down, playing a bit of cat and mouse in the south and the east, so we can get round to Nivelles. And Ney, I think it is Ney on the left, can actually push through the forest into... I'll show you in a minute how sort of wooded that area is. And there's a critical river there. And a lot relies on us capturing the bridges there. and playing cat and mouse and him screening his force. I mean, there's so many variables that, of course, is going to depend what they have up in these areas here. Around Howe, I suppose, and in the northeast corner towards Waterloo. It's going to be great. I haven't played JTS in a long time, but this one really rekindled my passion for it again. We've got 6 really good guys going, all reading off the same page, and I think this is going to be a brilliant one. Now, just to show you what I'm going to be doing, marching up this road personally, I won't give too much away for what these guys are doing. Well, you know what they're doing at the start. We've got a little group that we talk to each other in. However, only about rules, interpolation and things like that. There is no tactics discussed now that we've done it, that we're in game. Everything has to go through the courier system and dispatches. So, what am I going to do then? Well, I've arrived with 2nd Corps Cavalry by the looks of it, under Examens. Now, Napoleon didn't have Examens on the day. I think they were with Grouchy. So, it's going to be completely wildcard. These troops that are going to arrive in piecemeal fashion. They're going to arrive with an entry hex, and we've decided whatever comes in our own respective entry hex, we're going to take. It may be a case later on down the line that I end up with double the size force of everybody else. There is 2 corps, Suchet's corps, and I think Davout's coming up with a corps. 5th and 7th are coming, pretty sure they are. They're on the order of battle. But because it's a wild card, they may arrive, and if and when they arrive, we're going to spread them out so we've got sort of even forces. That's only fair. I'm going to march all the way up this road, up towards Nivelles. I'm going to go through La Louvière. So I will. Sorry to any French speakers. I murder languages and place names and people's names, and call me arrogant maybe a little bit, but everything's going to be in English. And carry on up this road and get to this Manage. When I get to Manage, I'm going to start marshalling my army around here. In these fields, behind here, got a couple of corps here and there, and send my scouts out. So yeah, from Manage, send my scouts out. Maybe hide a corps in the woods, something like that, as I march north. Now this is the river. This river is critical. Because after this river, if Ney's on my left, then we're going to be completely cut off from each other. We need to ensure that we, between us, catch all the bridges we can. Because if we get cut off, then it's not going to be very fun at all. There's an even bigger river up here, up towards Aquin, and that bridge is one of our original objectives. Come hell or high water, I think we need to capture that bridge, because the next bridge is miles up. That looks like a bridge on the 2D map, but when you zoom in, there is actually nothing there. It's not, and again there, it's really annoying. Anyway, as we go up, where are these bridges? There we go, there's another bridge, but that's quite a bit up. I mean, we're talking that distance there, that's a good 100, 150 hexes possibly. And I may come up as far, depending on the situation, to Senef and the border. That forest there, like I say, I'm not even going to apologise for it anymore. It's just, I murdered the language. Because I can hide a lot of troops there, and a lot of troop movements in this area. Before we eventually reach Nivelles, which is up here. So that's the plan. Attack a 3-pronged attack from the southwest, southeast, east and west. So almost 4. And envelop it. But my biggest worry is Ney's approach on this west hand side. Rivers, there's only 1 or 2 roads through that woods. He could bring up his whole army or his whole force up here and have it fairly well hidden. The invisibility is only 20 hexes, I suppose, so he could do it conceivably, but getting everybody through at the right time and not getting bogged down in these woods, it's a big risk we're taking, and it all hinges on them taking the bait. It'll be our Ardennes move, as we've called it, if he gets through those forests. hopefully they won't expect it. They might expect it. I don't know. I know two of the players very well on the other side, and particularly the chap that's playing Wellington that was with us for the first rendition of Waterloo is a very defensive player, and I know he likes rivers, and it will not slip his attention about this river to the west of Nivelle. But we could double bluff. We might send him a rabbit, send him bait somewhere to take the bait, maybe to the east, possibly to the south. Draw him out. I mean, it's good defensive terrain around Nivelle when they approach the southern edge of Nivelle. I mean, look at all that high ground, stream. We protect that road, I would say. Pretty open here. And this is to the south and to the east. Anyway, what I do know is it's going to be fun. Now, I will be using jump map, but those that followed the first one, jump maps are clicks, basically. I can't look at what anybody else is doing. It's completely against the game rules, and I won't do that. And nobody else will. It's all about what I can see as a commander on the field. Now, obviously, sort of by proxy, I have to be Exelmans at the moment and start moving Exelmans. We'll go through the house rules and the courier system and everything we're going to use. The courier system has been slightly adapted because we put one or two extra little things in after the first one, as you'll see. But I'm going to get straight into moving then. And then following this first turn, we'll have a look at all the house rules and everything like that. We'll go through them one by one. It might bore you to death, it might not. But that's what we're going to be playing by. And then as and when things happen that you think, why didn't he do this or why didn't I do that? Well, probably tied down by the house rules, but for all good reason. We're historical players. This is our tabletop. It does a lot of the dice rolls for us. We're just like the engine, and with a couple of our rules, we find the game fantastic. So, I'm literally going to put 1st and 2nd Brigade. 1st Brigade up this right-hand side, up towards Charleroi on this road and a long sweep, and then towards Binch I'm going to put 2nd Brigade. I've got some dragoons there. I'll go through the order of battle as well, much as I did in the first one. Obviously I haven't got the Prussians this time, so you get to see the French order of battle. Well, Napoleon's order of battle, if that makes sense, because it's the wild card. Hope you enjoy this one. Please do like, share, subscribe, and the most important thing is, if put it in the groups, please don't discuss tactics. Don't give anything away if you know any of the other players that are playing this, just because we want this to last 400 turns this time. We don't want to know what other people are doing. We want it to be a complete wargaming experience, a complete blind test of our skills, and we want you to share with it as well. But in order to do that, we need a level of trust on both sides. I'll do my part, and the other players will do their part. You guys do yours as well. Okay. Thank you very much, and we'll see you after I've moved some cavalry around. Well, that's me separated 1st and 2nd Brigades out. What we got here is 1st Brigade. There we go, and the artillery. They're going to just sweep up that road, up towards the Nivelle road, and then sort of hook right to the forest, as we said, and then scout ahead. We've got Exelman in the middles, and then 2nd Brigade are just going to nip up here through the town, cut that corner a little bit, and have a look at what we can do. There we go, so that's where we're going. We're going to Binch, and 1st and 2nd Brigade respectively. We've got 1 Brigade going to go up here, and 2nd Brigade, I'm expecting the rest of them probably the next turn or two. So that's about it, and I'm going to pass that over, and I think it's Gruchy going next. I think we sorted ourselves out. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoy this one. I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm very excited, and yeah, join in for the next one. Welcome back then. Well, turn 2. Everybody was quite excited, so it got done pretty quick, to be honest. We're not watching replays just because it's unfair on all the other players. Where are we? Jump map. It's unfair on all the other players because only really the first players of the 2 turns can see it anyway. And it's just not realistic. It's not like an army in front of you during the time would have just said, right, let's rewind that so everybody can see it. It doesn't work like that. So we're not watching replays. No reinforcements. Gruchy and they have moved, and I assume the allies have done their stuff. We've got a turn order sorted out now. no reinforcements, so it's going to be pretty boring turns, as I mentioned, for the first few, until we get some more troops, until we start seeing things. But as I said, as and when troops come, we'll do a troop review and see who we've got and things like that. We've got Second Corps Cavalry. They're not... Oh, they weren't with Napoleon on the day. But that's quite what I like, a pure wildcard. It's an extended order of battle. We're going to have a load of troops that... I'm not going to say we're not supposed to have, but on a big map, with a big order of battle. And, you know, it's going to be 350, 400,000 troops by the time we finish it all. And if they even come at all. And yeah, so I'm not going to bore you with movement and everything. I'm just going to carry on. 1st Brigade going up the right-hand side, and 2nd Brigade going up towards Binch on the left-hand side. So as soon as I've done that, I'll be back. And it really was just as quick as that. Took me all of 3 minutes, I think, just to get some cavalry on the move. So they're approaching Binch. I'm pretty sure the rest of 2nd Cavalry are going to come next time. Well, let's have a look. Schedules. Yeah, and then Napoleon's coming. So our leaders are coming pretty early. That is good news. 45 minutes, Napoleon will be on the scene. Moved to Exelman and strolls up into this town, this little village here, just because they're going to stay pretty central. I suppose when Napoleon comes, I will have to give some orders out to corps commanders, and at the minute my orders are going to be, just thinking ahead slightly, for Exelman, he's going to be my scouting force, my vanguard, going straight up that road, making sure that our staging area at Menage is going to be clear and not show too much there, but they will be the vanguard. Right, I'm going to get this sent off to everyone then, and I'll see you for turn 3. Welcome back to turn 3 then, and this is flying, as I thought it might do at the start, as there's not much to do. And the good news is, we've got reinforcements, and I would assume that's got in the 10th Cavalry, the rest of the 2nd Reserve Cavalry Corps. Annoyingly, it opens right where my men are. Never mind. First things first, well, there's not a lot of planning to go into it, you all know what I'm doing. The 9th Cavalry, they're just going to continue up this road, as I mentioned. Up here past Binch and join up, and then the rest of them, 10th Cavalry, pretty much going to follow behind them. I might keep the road clear and just march everybody up, because Riel and the 2nd Corps are arriving at some point. I think they're actually arriving with Napoleon, so that's the plan. Get all the 1st Corps and joined up on that main road. 1st Corps, I beg your pardon. The 9th Cavalry going up the road, maybe to the right hand side, and then the 10th to the left-hand side, something like that, just so they can spread out. I'm going to make my squadrons a little bit smaller as I get into territory that I think there may be enemy scouts. At the minute, 118, it's probably split them down into almost demi-squadrons, I think, just to cover more ground that way. The problem is always making sure you know where the parent unit is, so you can put them back, but that won't be an issue. I'll sort all that out. A bit of micromanaging, but no problem at all. So, let's have a look who we're going to get then. Chastel. With the 10th Cavalry. I would have thought it'd be a good day, but never mind. It is a wild card. Okay. So, that's it. That's the first parts of 10th Cavalry. I'm going to get everybody moving, and I'll just show you quickly at the end what's happened with this turn and get it sent off. We'll also have a look at who's in the 10th Cavalry as well, so we'll break them down in a little while. So that's Chastel and the 10th Cavalry. Was 2nd Corps under, or 2nd Reserve Cavalry under Exelman, and they brought in more dragoons. They were at the 4th, the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. Now there's a lot more of them than the 9th Cavalry. All in all, we got 1,900 dragoons and another further 6 guns. So looking fairly healthy. Well, must be on about 3,500 cavalry just with the 2nd Reserve that are heading up towards Nivelle to scout out. Now, what I've also done is broken it down into who's going to be under my command. Just me, and so far Napoleon's got the second reserve cavalry, as I said. So yeah, there we go, 3,550 horse and 12 guns so far, all horse artillery. And then going on from that, I'm going to break it down into the Army North Order of Battle. Because it's wildcard, like I say, the units themselves will be correct, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be under the same commanders. So it looks like Ney's got the first reserve cavalry, I've got the second reserve cavalry, and Grouchy has the third reserve cavalry. So I'm going to build that up as we go along, maybe even put some numbers in and stuff like that, but we'll see how we go. So that is everybody moved on that turn. We've got the 10th Cavalry there. At bench, they're just moving up. I moved Exemen up and Strolls. They're in bench itself, and I've moved excuse me, Chastel from the 10th Cavalry up there as well. Probably going to be kind of central, those two. 10th Cavalry itself then, I've split them down all into squadrons, and they're going to take to the left hand side of the bench, pretty much following the 2nd Brigade of the 9th Cavalry. And then as I go up this road, they're going to pretty much go left and right up towards here, and then we have got a bridge. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Large, wide, arcing scouting mission. So they're all split, some small squadrons there, but no problem at all. The only thing I didn't do is the 4th artillery. Didn't move them up with them. They're going to go up on the road as well. We'll see. It's probably quicker to move. They'll be central anyway, should I need them. And the supply wagon for the 2nd Cavalry Corps. They're going to go up the road. Now, supply wagons are going to get in the way, so sometimes you'll see they pull off at the side of the road to let everybody pass, as they would in real life, just because they slow everything down. Remember, the Prussians in the last game had huge supply trains, and they just got in the way of any quick marching. So sometimes just pull them off to the side and then followed it up, and then it was working. It worked. So, without further ado, that is the turn 3 done. There we are. I don't want to zoom out too much. I have to say about the mods as well before anybody asks. Most of them are mine, apart from this 2D map. This 2D map, I don't know the author. I'm not claiming it, but I found it on the JTS Software Italia site. Gianluca kindly posted it, and I used it, and I love these old style maps. Just adds a bit of authenticity to it. Right, I'm going to stop blabbing, and I'm going to get this sent off, or saved and sent off. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you for the next turn.